All of these polls, it's not about winning the most votes in a national sense. It's winning the majority of seats, right? And it's this transition in some of the Liberal-held blue ribbons towards teals, if the polls are to be believed, that spells danger. Now, it's happening all over the country. It's not just in Victoria, although we're focused on Victoria with Josh Frydenberg. In the Australian today, there's a very interesting YouGov poll. It says that Frydenberg would lose his seat of Kooyong to Climate 200 candidate Monique Ryan if the election was held today. Now, Chris, this is worrying given Frydenberg's seen as a future leader, and I have to say I've known him for, nearly 30 years. He's absolutely up to the job of being a future leader, but he can't be a future leader if he's not in the parliament.
Well, it spells bad news for the coalition, because I think in the case scenario of Labor winning, I don't think it'll be a landslide. I can't see it. I think Anthony Albanese is almost making it sure it's not going to be a landslide. So if the coalition get turfed out, you would expect that they would still have a chance of regaining government in 3 years' time. But if Josh Frydenberg is out of Kooyong, and then, as we've heard, Clive Palmer putting Peter Dutton second last on his United Australia Party ticket and suggesting to people, here's my voting card, down goes Peter Dutton. If both of those men are not there in the new parliament, I tell you what, it doesn't augur well for the Liberal National Party at the next election or even the election after that. Who leads the party and takes them to that next era?
Spot on. Just on this point, Gleeson, I don't know if you saw that brilliant piece yesterday in the Australian by Troy Bramston. He focused, I think, very smartly on the demographic shifts that are hitting both major parties, looking at the relationship between how people vote and university education. He looked at 1963. In that case, the Liberal Party gained the support of around 63% of voters with university degrees, and Labor had only about 19.5% of that same voting cohort. But in 2019, this was a shift in the opposite direction. Liberal Party support from voters with a university degree fell to 24.3%, and Labor's share increased to 37%. Now, I've looked at this very closely for a decade myself. The coalition thinks it can be all things to all people. It can't, nor can Labor. We're seeing that shift in coal country and the Hunter away from Labor for a lot of those blue-collar working-class voters. This is a new reality that both sides of politics have got to grapple with.
Yeah, great piece by Troy Bramston, as usual. And I think a real reflection and demonstration of the way in which our academia has hijacked and brainwashed our young kids. We see it everywhere. We see it in the way in which they gravitate towards the Greens because they think the Greens are going to save the planet. We all want to save the planet. But I also think that teachers have a lot to answer for. We've seen teachers orchestrating, taking part in climate strikes for kids over the past 12 or 18 months. And as I said, everybody wants to save the planet, but you have to do it in a responsible way. You have to do it in a way where you don't actually turn the lights out in this country, where you actually phase it in properly and you don't shut down coal-fired power stations. That's the last thing you want to do, especially when there's 32 of them being built right now around the world. So I think this is a really sad indictment on the way in which academia has brainwashed our kids. They continue to brainwash our kids, and it is a national scandal.
It is, but I mean, the coalition has absolutely vacated that field in the election campaign, which I think is absolute madness.